I'm wearing my pink Valentine.
Wearing your pink for Valentine's Day, and you match the studio.
Yes,
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome back to Adultish Wines.
I know. I'm so excited. I feel like we both, like, a lot has happened since the last time we met.
A lot has happened. I think you were last on over 6 months ago, which in my head...
That's like 2 years.
It sounds nuts. Because you were kind of... When I first, I don't know, maybe one of my first few guests in this new studio. Yeah. And that just feels like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I've aged 10 years. But yes, and we've seen each other a few different times, of course, at the nightcap and things like that. But yeah, we've got a lot to get into. So Dr. Viviana Coles, welcome back.
Thank you.
For anyone who hasn't gone and listened to that first episode that we did, that was episode 46, I believe. It was a 2-part. And we focused a lot on marriage and, of course, your previous time on Married at First Sight, seasons 9 through 14.
9 through 14. Oh, my God. Oh, and actually, as of today marks the 5-year anniversary of the first, like, when I met and started with the team there.
No way.
So, yeah, actually, I was just texting him. I'm like, look at us.
Oh, my God.
5 years ago today, I first met Cal and Pepper and all of the casting and the
that
EPs.
Okay, because I watched, you were just on the Poor Horseman podcast, of course. We love them. And I didn't know this story, but you basically went out and got the gig. You got the Married at First Sight gig.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there had to be a spot available to get.
Right.
But I did. I kind of, I admit it. I wanted to work with them. Kinetic Content has been a powerhouse when it comes to reality with love and dating, right? Yeah. And so I was like, what if I was to actually try to be on a show versus having all these production companies come to me and like nothing come of it? It's like, what if I was to actually try and put a little skin in the game, like try. And within 2 days, I was already in talks with them, but it took 2 years for there to be a real opening on something.
Okay.
And because I had really kind of forced myself. Anytime I was in LA, I would go and see them and like take them coffee
and stuff.
That is
so smart.
And when they were filming the season in Dallas, which I think it was season 8, it was the season before I started.
Okay.
I was like right up there. I was like, I'll go up for the night. I'll meet with y'all. I hadn't met certain people on the team that were decision makers.
Right.
And so, and when the time came, and it wasn't even for Married at First Sight. It was just that because there was no opening at the time.
It was just to be a part of that production company. It was just to let them know,
like, here I am. This is what I'm about. Because you know what it's like. Meeting in person is so important when you're going to make a big decision to work with someone. And so when the time came, they flat out told me that I was like the front runner.
Okay.
Now that doesn't mean that there weren't other options. You have to have. What if I had said no? You know?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm sure there were amazing other options. But I was a front runner because they had met me, because they felt like
you were
they knew me.
You're making yourself like visible and seen and consistent, and good for you.
Yeah. So go for it.
A businesswoman.
Now don't stalk people, but go for it.
Well, yeah, just like a mild stalk. Well, let them know you're coming.
And there was something like, I don't know that I believe it. I don't know if you believe in it, but there was a little bit of something like a positive omen, a good omen, when I went to LA the last time that I met with them before I started, before I even had a position. There was a double rainbow in the window behind me. Okay. Like across the like it was just this whole thing. And everybody got chills. There were like 4 of us in the room and everybody got chills. I was like, I think that's a sign. And they're like, yeah, I think that's a sign. It was
my God.
Cool.
No, so, I think probably more lately than I ever have been. I'm big into signs or like listening to the world around me.
Yeah.
So I do get that. How exciting.
Yeah, and it was an amazing, amazing time. So, 5 years ago. Crazy.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So just as a reminder, you are known as America's intimacy expert. You have over 20 years of experience in the field, right?
Yeah.
Marriage, family therapist.
Sex therapist. Certified sex therapist.
Yes.
Yeah, I have my doctorate in marriage and family therapy.
And your office, Houston Relationship Therapy, or your business is here in Houston.
My private practice, this is where I'm seeing people from California, New York, Florida, and of course Texas, where I'm all licensed as a marriage and family therapist. So that's where I'm like doing the work.
You're doing the work.
But then I'm working it everywhere else.
Yeah, you're busy. I see you.
I know. I love it. I just love what I do. And so when I get an opportunity to do it in a way that isn't typical, like sitting across the couch from someone, which I enjoy it too. I'm always like, yes, let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're just so genuine about it. It looks like you genuinely enjoy, like, even like your content that you post. It's just like, I don't know, it just seems natural and fun.
Well, it's strange because it isn't until I'm around other clinicians that I'm like, oh, people don't just talk about this stuff, or they get a little cagey around it. And that's when I remember, oh yeah, that's how I got such a big practice, was because there are so many therapists who don't want to talk about these things, don't want to talk about sensitive subjects, maybe don't know how to, or maybe just don't want to. And I'm like, that's why I'm here.
That's kind of what I'm hoping that comes out of Adultish Wines, the podcast, is because there's so much space in the podcast world. Like, there's room at the table for us all. But I feel like something unique that I do, and really nothing to do with podcasts, it's my life, is that, like, I just kind of talk about anything.
Oh, I know.
And
I mean, you've made me blush at times.
No. Well, probably going to make you blush today, too. Okay, but don't forget, you're also the author of the 4 Intimacy Styles, which I took the quiz again, by the way, before you came. So 6 months ago, I'm going to share those results again.
Okay.
And then see how I've changed. And I really tried to answer, like, very honestly, and I did get some different results, so we'll go over those.
I just had somebody DM me screenshots. I love it when people take the quiz. So you can take it at 4intimacystylesquiz.com or just 4intimacystyles.com, wherever it is. You can find it, take it, and it'll tell you what percentage of each of the 4 intimacy styles you currently are. And you want to round it out, which means that you're looking for a quarter, about 25%, of each of the styles in nearly all or all of your sexual experiences.
Yeah.
So people send me their screenshots all the time, just, random strangers. I love it.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my gosh, this is so right. And this woman, she just sent it to me. She goes, my husband's not home yet. He hasn't taken the quiz, but I just took it. Here are my results. This is so spot on. I was like,
my God.
Oh, we need to talk about this.
It feels good when you, even if it's not the most positive things, when you're like, you know what, that is something I knew I needed to work on. It kind of feels like validation.
And that's the point of it. It's not to try to get anybody to feel like, oh no, it's not like a diagnosis or anything.
Right.
But it certainly can help you to realize, like, especially if you ever take it and your partner takes it, you can see like, oh, this is where we might miss each other.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is really helpful.
Yeah. So, well, last time you were on and I took it, so there's bonding, release, giving, and responsive. I was 0% responsive, 13% giving, 25% release, and 63% bonding.
Okay.
And kind of around the time that you were on, I think I mentioned to you, I'm anxious attachment style. Like, I wanted to kind of always impress and be there, and I'm ready, even emotionally, but sexually as well. Not that I don't enjoy sex. I really do. But
you don't ever want to be accused of being like under, or like, under sexual, or like somebody who's not into it.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I mean, yeah, again, like I did love it, but I was doing it for, I think, the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of figuring that out with therapy. I took a little bit of a break from having sex, actually.
Okay.
It wasn't like a proclamation, but I just had decided with my therapist, and along the episode that we did, talking with our therapist about my conversation with you and the intimacy style thing.
Okay.
I just said, like, I wasn't going to go have sex with just anyone. Like, I was really...
no partnered sexuality or... Okay.
Yeah, I was just going... Because I was single, or I am single. Just going to wait until it felt right and not rush to have sex, because I thought that was a check in the book or something that we should do, So I was still dating, and some people had real issues with me saying that I didn't want to have sex, and then I was done with those people because that's just not somebody I want to be around. So anyway, my new results are, let's see, 13% responsive, so it went from 0 to 13.
That's great.
13% giving, which I think was the same. Okay. 13% release, and 60% bonding.
Okay.
So still bonding.
Still high on the bonding. Like a really high on the bonding.
But last time I was 0 responsive.
No, so that's, everything else seems like it's on its way to being pretty good. But let me tell you why bonding and being so high on the bonding could be problematic. Is because that means that for you, let's say you want to have sex. Let's say you are totally all in on it. If your partner is not feeling that or needs a little bit of a break or is elsewhere with their head and their body and their feelings, then you might take that as they don't love me. They don't want to be with me. They don't want to connect with me, or this is how I connect. How are we going to connect now?
Yeah.
And that's a problem, because anytime you're putting that much pressure on sex, you're not a robot. They're not a robot. And there are lots of different reasons to not be able to engage in intercourse or really anything having to do with penetrative sex or whatever. I just feel like you can take it very personally.
Yeah, for sure. And that is my personality type, even something not to do with sex. If somebody doesn't want to do something with me, I'm like, oh, I did something wrong,
Right.
So it totally translates to my life.
Okay.
But I'm working on it.
You're working on it. Hey, that's all we can ask for. And for a lot of people, what I love about them taking the quiz is that it just makes them aware of it.
Yeah.
This is not something that most people are brought up thinking about, talking about, certainly not like researching or being really insightful and retrospective about it.
Yeah.
So I just like that it gives people the opportunity to do that. And then if they happen to be with someone, or what I'm hoping, of course, is that people start talking about it, like the 5 love languages. Like, oh my gosh, what's your love language? Oh, what is your percentage? That's what I want to know. What's your percentage? You know? And so that people can start thinking about the sex part. Everybody can talk about emotions. Everybody can talk about feelings and, emotional intimacy. But when it comes to the physical, I feel like we need permission. And if we start talking about it more openly, like using words like intimacy. I can understand not wanting to just be out there talking about sex all the time. But intimacy, and that means so much. It means the emotional and the physical.
Right.
So.
And that is something that in these past, 6-ish months or so that I haven't been sexually intimate, I have kind of understood a little bit more the intimacy that doesn't necessarily have to come with sex.
Yeah.
So.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, and it's all about being well-rounded and experiencing all that you can. I'm one of those people who likes to get all the juice from the squeeze.
Right.
I want to kill 3 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah.
And this is a very direct way of getting the most that you can out of your sexual experiences.
Okay.
Especially for long-term people.
Right.
If they want to be together forever, you got to get the most out of it, or else you're going to, it's like,
and be open about it.
Yeah. And at least just talk about it. At least just acknowledge it.
Yeah.
I know so many people who are like, I want to go to therapy, but my partner doesn't. And I'm like, well, why? Well, because, we haven't had sex in so long, and sometimes it's my fault and other times it's the others. I'm like, well, when was the last time y'all talked about it? Oh, we don't talk about it. Well, of course you talk about it. You're just non-verbally talking about it.
Oh.
It's coming out. It's just not.
You can tell. You're feeling the energy is.
It's there. It's there. And it's in an eye roll. It's in a scoff. It's in, turning away from them. But I think a lot of people are like, well, we just don't talk about it. No, you're definitely verbalizing something.
Right.
It's just.
You're just not having a literal conversation about
exactly.
it. Well, what's good? I think we might have touched on this a little bit last time you were on, but I think you said if you want to start a conversation that has been awkward or it's kind of been swept under the rug for a long time, open up the conversation, not during an intimate time, right?
Yeah.
We're
already very vulnerable in those moments.
So vulnerable.
And our brains aren't necessarily thinking correctly. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so just kind of.
Yeah, I would say bring it up in terms of hey, how are you feeling about this? But be ready that if you're going to ask a question, be ready with an answer for that same question. How are you feeling about it? Mm-hmm. And say it. Because if you don't say anything, or if you lie, or if you say everything's fine, and just recognize that they're probably going to be able to just spit the same thing right back at you.
And then you're not doing anything.
And then
you just had
okay, well, then another 3 months.
You just had a halfway awkward conversation with no result out of it.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, rip off the Band-Aid.
That's right. If you're going to do it, do it.
If you're going to do it, do it. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. So single ladies.
Single ladies.
Oh, okay. After the book, I was going to say you started after our last podcast, a matchmaking agency.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Vivid Relationships.
Talk about transformation. So Vivid Relationships started off as a non-traditional matchmaking agency. And basically what I wanted to do with all of my years of experience of working, especially with couples who are kind of either struggling or really working through things, I wanted to reverse engineer like happy, healthy relationships with singles from the very beginning.
Right.
So I created a 3-phase process. And let me tell you, everyone was staying in phase 1. And let me tell you why. So phase 1 is the discovery phase. And that's where questionnaires, home visits, and everything is virtual. So I see people from all over. I was doing the most to get to know people really, really well with who they are as partners and who they are as individuals. Because what I was trying to help them to do, and what I continue to do, is try to help them to figure out who they are so that they know who they should be looking for.
Okay.
Not just who they want to be with or who they think is going to be a good match. And through the discovery phase, they were learning so much about themselves that then when it was time to move into the second phase, which is matchmaking with our help, they were like, I think I want to try on my own. Now that I know who I should be looking for, and now that I know so much more about myself and how I'm putting myself out there and what what I'm doing right, what I'm doing not so great.
Yeah.
And so most of them were just like, I'll get back to you in like 6 months. Give me I have, they have the confidence to do it. And I'm like, this is great. This is really good. Because I was always very nervous. Anytime I was matchmaking somebody, I was always very nervous about like the ugly side of it. The side of it where somebody, again, we've done all the background checks, we've done all that, but maybe they're not as committed or they're not as ready.
Well, you probably felt that way from your time a little bit on Married at First Sight.
A lot of it. And so, yeah, I was definitely a little bit shy about it. But I mean, overall, they were really positive experiences. But what I've noticed now is that I think that that's the piece that most people want more than anything else. They want that piece of like knowing, really knowing with a capital K who they are, so that they can be much more intentional when they're out there. And when they do choose to like dip their feet into that they're more confident.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a dream come true for me, because building confidence, it just changes everything. I can tell you 100% that, having the experiences, having the wherewithal to like know yourself, it will always serve you well and always. So I've been really excited about that. It's interesting because it's like we kept talking about it as like it's matchmaking, but it ended up being much more about the part that I cared about the most, which was really get to know yourself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're kind of sticking around. And now it's also transforming into something where I just want to put a lot of stuff out there for healthy relationships in general. People who want to have like really great love lives, whether it's partnered, whether they're looking, whatever. I just want to help people have really great love lives.
So have a little bit more of like a broader reach.
Yes.
In some way.
Yeah. So vividrelationships.com. You'll see some options there that weren't there before. And then online on Instagram, I'm going to start posting a few searching for a few people, because we are still doing the matchmaking. Yeah. But also some kind of like think about it. I want people to start thinking about things, becoming more intentional in the way that they treat others, who they're romantically with, or who they're looking for. So, just having a good time online.
Just having a good time online.
Just having a good old time.
I think that you kind of, what you just described as people in that first phase, I think that's really just kind of what I went through. Just really understanding how I don't want to be treated and who I don't want to involve myself with.
So important.
And to be honest, I'm 34. I've dated a lot of people.
You look like a child. And not
Thank
like
you.
Not like a child bride, like in a bad way, but like,
I have a young face and it's chubby, which no offense to myself, but
you're like exuding this youthful. Oh, I love it.
Oh, thank you so much. I need to sit
closer to you and maybe it'll rub off a little bit.
I think it's the lights. It's the lights.
No, I feel it. I see it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay. Sorry. Not 34 years old. I was just would have guessed you were in your 20s.
It's not. But actually, that is something I want to get into is as far as single women being a little bit on a timeline.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of exactly what you just said about kind of discovering like who you are, who you want to date, what you want to date, what things you not to, I think require is like sometimes an aggressive word, but like the things that you
the
are
things
looking
that you really,
for,
really want.
the things that are important to you.
And that are backed up with real thought, right? I mean, I think it's unfortunate, but I think a lot of people, they just say that, oh, I really want this, or I think I would really like that. And then you really probe them on it and they are like, well, it's just what I saw growing up. Okay, I understand, but like you're cutting out so many possibilities and so many potential partners because of what you saw growing up, but it's not because you necessarily know that it would work for who you are now.
And then these days too, you're being influenced by what society is showing you on social media and all that. And
100%.
I mean, I'll take full responsibility for like being like, I want to feel butterflies on the first date, like that, you know what I mean? Or like, I'm not dating anyone short. You know, things like that. I'm 5'10". Listen, I will say it.
But what do you think's going to happen if he's shorter? Like, what is it that
but I think you're going to be proud. I went on a date with and he's not short, but he's not as tall as I normally date. He's 5'11".
Okay.
And it was phenomenal.
Yay.
So I'm eating
there's like less than
I'm eating shit pie
of
or
the
whatever.
population of men
I do know that.
like
I do know.
over 6 foot. So what are the chances there?
I do not. But here's the reason why I even ended up going on a date with this person is because for 6 months I told myself, you know, work with yourself on what you want, what you are going to accept, the energy. Yeah. Something really bad happened with someone that I was dating towards the end of the year. And then I told my sister over Christmas break, I said, in 2024, I'm going to be accepting rom-com energy only. Like, and I don't need to be, you know, literally swept off my feet, but I want somebody to like court me.
Okay.
Show me that I'm important.
Yeah.
I'm always the one doing too much.
Okay.
In a positive way, like because I want to show someone and I care. That's how I show I care. But I'm going to dial that back a little bit.
But you want it to be more responsive.
Yes. And I'm telling you, I put that energy out there. And the only reason I even went on a date with this, I thought he was attractive, of course. But I was like, oh, he does look short. Okay. But the energy that he came with when he asked me out, I was like, this. I asked for this, so you better fucking take it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I know you don't cuss. Okay. Oh my God, I just forgot about that.
How did you remember that?
I have a really good memory.
I'm okay with not cursing for myself.
Okay. I'll try and keep it okay.
I'm getting better. The kids are older now. I'm not nearly as scared.
Okay. I remember because I think you said frick. You were like, what the frick?
What the frick, Paige?
I haven't heard that.
Yeah. Lint liquor. I totally brought that one out to the kids. I was like, you have to, because
Who are you calling a cootie queen? You lint liquor. Yes.
Oh my gosh. And I had to show it to the kids. They're like, this is weird. I'm like, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And so now I call them all lint liquors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just saying like it's important to acknowledge the things, but you have to find that out about yourself if it's not in front of your face. You have to do the work.
Well, there's a trend, new dating trend that we were talking about called Contra-Dating. And it's about decidedly dating people who are against your type.
Oh,
so going against type. But let me tell you, there are some really cool benefits to it. You know, I was looking into it and I was, you know, there are a few people that I'm seeing as clients who were like, oh, I decided to do the Contra-Dating thing. And what's cool about it is that, first of all, worst case scenario, you're introduced to a new group of people.
Yes.
That you wouldn't normally be exposed to.
Okay.
So, hey, great. New friend group, whatever. But what's great about it is that you're going to have to like, you're exposing yourself to different ways of thinking, to probably different cultural or entertainment traditions. Like it's just new. It's exciting, I think, for people to try it. Now, again, I mean, the worst case is you've met.
Worst case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's really cool. It's almost like let me swing the pendulum this way and then see where I fall. But what if you stay over there? What if you just happen to meet somebody who's like, oh my gosh, this is like a missing piece or something.
Well, that is what I did like about Married at First Sight. Like, I'm sure you guys do ask about types and things like that. And I know there's a huge questionnaire that they fill out. But you can totally tell when they're walking down the aisle that this either is someone that they've dated before looks-wise.
Yeah.
Or this is not somebody that they've dated before looks-wise. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
they definitely don't have poker faces.
Right, no, for sure.
Yeah.
But I kind of sometimes feel for them because I think attraction's important, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But like as you go through, some of these people who would have never dated each other, never agreed to go on a date in real life, they make it. Mm-hmm. And it's because they really, like, everything else aligns.
Yeah.
They tried something new.
Well, I mean, even my husband and I feel like we're very complementary, but that's because of the work that we've put in to build our lives, like, and grow together versus like seeing it as, well, you do you, I'll do me. Like, we've, I think in order to stay together and to be happy and like really like each other, you want to like intertwine your roots,
Yeah.
But we have very different backgrounds. I mean, like, and it just, he's so different when it comes to the way he looks at like social situations and the things that I think his friends really like about him. They like, I don't think my friends would like me if I was that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just interesting how I think we're very different. But, I think on paper, I don't even know if when we first started dating the second time around, because remember we dated in middle school.
I didn't know that until I saw it on the Poor Horseman podcast.
Yeah. So I think we call it the second time around. I think the second time around, had we like been matched on paper, I don't know that anybody would have matched us. But we're like great together.
Right.
I'm like obsessed with him.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's cute. One can dream. One can dream. Okay, so how do we get over single women on a timeline? Obviously, I know that wanting to have your own children comes into play.
Yes.
But again, I'm 34, and I know the listeners know this, but like having my own children isn't absolutely necessary for me. I love kids. I'm open to it, but I don't feel pressured timeline-wise, and I think that's not the norm as a middle 30-year-old woman.
So I
How do we get past that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a tough question. It's a very complex question, but I think you have to start looking at it in terms of, do you want to have a child or do you want to have a family? And hopefully you don't have to pick one or the other, but and this is because of the way that I was raised with my parents. My parents always told my brother and I that we come second, like second and third. Who knows who's in second and third?
That's one of my requirements. In order to say, yes, I want to have a child with you, I need to know that me and my partner are number one, no matter what.
I'm telling you, I see so many couples who put their children first, either both or one of the parents put their children first, and it is an absolute disaster. Which, look, I wrote about it all in the 4 Intimacy Styles. Okay. If you want to really like get into it and really think about it, go there. But my parents always told us, like, we love y'all, but we love each other more. And most people might be like, oh my gosh, that's so harsh. And they said, look, you're going to go off and you're going to love somebody. You're going to start a family. We have to love each other in order to stay together forever. And they're going to celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary this year, so they know what they're talking about.
Oh my gosh.
But that's the sort of thing that I remember definitely stuck out to me, because I thought, that's really interesting. And I never felt like they didn't love us. That was never the question. It was more like, I need to pick somebody that I want to be with regardless of if we have children. Okay? Because just because you can doesn't mean you always will. And just because you do doesn't mean it's always going to work out. I mean, there's so many different scenarios that can happen. And I just feel like your choice in partner is a much more long-term commitment than potentially having kids or choosing to have kids or any of those things that can happen. So I feel like it shouldn't be that you're like, well, I'm choosing a husband because of his potential as a father. Just like I wouldn't want somebody to choose me over my potential as a mother.
Right.
We now know so much about science, and we know just about the way that our emotions work. People change their minds. People can't change their minds. I mean, there's just so much going on there. So I just feel like it's much more important to make the decision of who you want to have as a partner And if children are a part of that, great.
Yeah.
In whatever way. And if not, okay.
Right.
You're together and you've got something there. That's really, really strong.
I am not, I ain't no doctor, but I totally agree. Yeah, that's a fear. And I think probably just because dysfunctional family growing up, no mom and dad together, all of that stuff, it kind of comes into play. But I'm like, I'm not doing that again. Like, I don't want to bring a child into like an unhappy or unsettled. And of course, things happen.
Sure. But there's a lot that we can't predict. But choosing your partner is something that we can do a lot of due diligence and just see, if we can enjoy ourselves. That's why I think a lot of people, even still, if they have an unwanted pregnancy or an undesired, at the time pregnancy, they rally. A lot of them have to rally, but it will ultimately kind of eke out in different ways. This idea of like, oh, we weren't strong. Like, we didn't create that foundation. It ekes out. It does. I mean, that's just how things are.
Right. Okay. So partner first. Then
I think so. And actually,
child.
you're reminding me of something. And so my husband and I will be celebrating 17 years married.
Congratulations.
As a therapist, I very rarely ever talk about my own relationship, just because as part of my training, very extensive training, and just kind of my own moral code, I don't ever want to put out like, this is what I do, so this is what you should be doing. No, I am smart enough to know that everybody has to kind of make their own way and that, whatever floats your boat. But the older I get, the more I'm like, like more confident that like some of the choices that we've made, a lot of the choices that we made that work for us, maybe other people would benefit from knowing,
right? Or
from feeling like, oh, that's an option to think that way or to do it this way. So I don't know. I think I might start writing a book on that.
Interesting.
With my husband. He doesn't know it. We're gonna write a book together, honey.
Oh my God, I love that.
He doesn't know it.
No, but
but I kind of feel like we are already, like by doing life together and by doing marriage together, I feel like we're already, everybody's writing this story, right?
Yeah.
Metaphorically, but I think, I often will ask him for like some opinions on things, and I feel like, why not share it with other people? So we'll see.
Well, and even probably without intentionally doing so, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I'm guessing that in your sessions, you probably, it's all what you learn, but it's also personal experience.
Well, and here's the thing. I can tell you very honestly that I have had so many clients to learn from. So many clients that no one would ever be able to know if the experience that I'm drawing from is my own or someone else's.
Of course.
Sometimes I don't even remember. Like, did I say that? But that's what's so lovely about having, decades old practice is that that's what makes me work so quickly too. Some people will be like, I wonder, like, why does she charge the way that she charges? Why are her sessions like this? Why does she do? And I'm like, let me just tell you, I am not holding anything back.
Yeah.
We're going to start from the moment that you call, we're starting. Like, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Because it's what I would want. If I was a consumer of therapy, I would want somebody to jump in. I don't need 3 sessions of you, getting to know me and of us like learning. No, let's just jump right in. Give me all
you have
the knowledge.
Like an aggressive approach.
I do. Okay. I have a very, direct. I want them to feel better ASAP. By the time people come in to make the decision,
it's
to
been
see
bad
somebody,
for a while.
It's
probably
been bad. They could have benefited from coming in 8 years ago, literally. So yeah, and I think that's why people come to see me. And anytime like a new issue might pop up, they come right in because they know, okay, well, it's not like we're starting over and it's not like we're easing in. No, let's go. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the if they want to, they will statement?
100%.
Okay, you do.
Yes. Now,
men and women both.
In general, I feel, okay, this is me talking from my perspective because I'm like, if I want something and I have really considered it, I'm going to go for it. And not to say that nothing will stop me, but it would take some really like good hard evidence or facts to tell me like, or to even slow me down.
Right.
Much more so in love. I mean, my husband and I, we dated for like 6 months before we eloped. So, I mean, yeah, like it was like, it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very driven with the things that I want. And I think in love, you do have to be one of those people who's like, this is why I want this. This is why I want you. If you feel the same way, let's go. And if you don't feel the same way, I'm still going to practice loving you, because what if you just, boom, you're hooked? What if all of a sudden you turn the corner? I want to be there.
Mm-hmm. Timing can be
very hard.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of people will say, well, I just don't want to, I heard this a couple of times just in the past couple of weeks. I don't want to like put that much effort into it so that I don't get hurt. Who are you kidding?
Yeah.
You're going to get hurt anyway. You might as well go down fighting. Like, try it. I always tell people, if you know better, do better.
Yeah.
And so I feel like you have to.
I can tell you that, and some people have reached out because I keep alluding to the situation that I told you about as far as a bad situation. I'm going to tell it on my solo episode in a couple weeks. But I gave somebody a second chance, and I'm so happy I did. I went down fighting, and that has changed the trajectory of, I think, what my love life will be in the future, because I gave it all.
Yeah. And you can say bye. You can say, this worked, this didn't work.
Yeah.
But you
But I wanted to, so I did. But guess what? They didn't want to, and so they didn't. And I'm a big believer in that. And I think sometimes it gets, thrown around on social media very casually, like, and then men get upset, like, about how that's making them look or something like that. But I do think that women, wouldn't you say women are a little bit more
expressive,
driven in that way? Like,
well, I think, going back to that biological clock thing, I also think that women are like, well, I want to know. Yes. I want to know, is this going to work out? Is this not going to work out? The dating phase is the third phase with vivid relationships. And there are 4 dates that are a part of that. And it's like, boom, 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 milestones, because at the very end of those 4 dates, you're either going to be like, there's something here, or definitively there isn't. And then you move on. Who needs years and years or months and months or dollars and dollars? No time
wasted. Right? Yeah.
Right. So I just feel like there comes a time where, I'm not saying you have to be quick to decide, but I think you should be quick in your desire to like want to try. Try and figure it out. Let's see if this will work. But go all in. I don't know. I just feel like if you're half-assed with it, you're gonna get less than that, right? Like it's not gonna work out.
Do you think that in the first couple dates, outside of your matchmaking,
right,
let's talk about maybe just meeting someone in the world,
in the wild,
which again, one can dream, or on an app or something like that. Sometimes I find that the hardest hurdle is actually getting on that first date. And sometimes I think if they wanted to, they would. If they wanted to ask me out, they would have. That kind of thing. So do you still feel the same about that?
I mean, I feel like if somebody, I can't, let me put my therapist hat on and start thinking about all the reasons why somebody wouldn't be ready to go on that first date. And I can't help but think that a lot of it might be just circumstantial. It could be their job. It could be finances. I think it could also just be like their mood that day. Like, I just don't feel like it. Or maybe they just heard a really bad, like, train wreck of a date story with someone else and they're a little bit guarded.
Okay.
But I think that they need to say that. I'm like, you got to say it. Be like, I'm feeling really iffy about dating this week because my friend just got, his heart just got trampled on.
Yeah.
And then it would be up to someone like you to say, okay, I get that. But that's not where I'm at. Let me tell you why. or you're safe with me, and I promise. And then, of course, be that person that
Yeah.
you're saying you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, it's always easier said than done.
Right.
But I think it's just important to say that, because if not, you have to know, like, then the receiver, so person in your end, is having to put all these puzzle pieces together and filling in the gaps, and it's never accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's oftentimes just more fodder for like lowered self-esteem and getting like, oh, really?
Yeah, just like this again, this pen pal situation or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If they want to, they will, and communicate it.
Yes, and communicate if you don't, say why.
Yeah. Okay. I have some questions from some of my listeners and followers on Instagram. And I know last time you said sometimes it's kind of hard to say. I don't know the person, I don't know the details, so we'll just go with what we can. And this might be, I don't know if this one will be something that you can answer. So I get repeated UTIs, yeast infections. I've had the same partner. Nothing's changed on my end. Any recommendation as far as sex goes to help with that?
Nothing has changed. So it can be anything from what you're eating, what you're drinking, any supplements you're taking. It changes the pH balance, and that can cause UTIs. The other thing is if they say nothing has changed, oh wait, but we've started using this different lube, or nothing has changed, but we started using a different position. Sometimes even just new body washes, they can end up entering us.
Yeah.
Or if your partner's using a new shampoo and all of a sudden it's like in his pubic hair and that can get inside. So, I mean, there's obviously no way of knowing. Or if there's more frequent sex, it could be changes in her urinary habits.
I know that there's special body wash for pH balance.
Yeah.
And I know that sometimes that's recommended.
So Bloomy, Bloomi.
Oh, yeah. You're the intimacy expert
I'm
for
the
Bloomy.
intimacy expert there, the resident intimacy expert. They have a great product called Cleanse.
Okay.
And we have it like in every bathroom of the house. We want our kids to know, like, healthy, this is really good for your genitals. You might as well already start to have like an intimate care routine.
Yeah.
And what's great about it is that you can also wash your toys with it. So it's like twofer.
Yeah.
But that one is really great because it's not going to mess with your pH. It's, it's really clean, standard products. And a lot of times we go with like what smells good or what we think feels good.
Right.
But what our shoulder can handle, maybe our vulva not so much.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to be mindful of that. That's a good point.
Do you recommend that the male person also uses that same?
Well, they're the one.
Because they're the one inside you.
Yeah, they're penetrating you. So their habits
matter.
They do matter. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm going to be honest. I didn't even hear about a pH balance soap or feminine care routine in that way probably until like a year ago. Yeah. And I have since been using a specialized one for pH balance. But
well, even the lubes that we use, and sometimes depending on, again, how much lube you have or not, there can be micro tearing. There can, if he, not that urine is going to be, it has some antiseptic qualities, but like there's just a lot that can happen. If you're sweating or he's sweating, if, maybe some men will put talc on their balls or, just to keep them from being too moist. Yeah. And everybody hates that word, moist.
I thought you were going to say balls.
Balls. But I mean, I guess there's no, I can't know, right? But I would say just be mindful of like, are you using new underwear? A lot of times the type of fabrics that we use, some people don't wear any underwear at all.
Man, it's hard out here.
It's really.
There's so many things that go into it
to think about.
Okay, that's good.
But for all of you who do want to look into some really great products, Bloomy, and you can use Dr. Viviana, Dr. Viviana, and you'll get, I think it's 15-20% off.
Okay.
Check it out. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Was in a marriage, now divorced. What is the protocol for dating? So far online, it seems like a bunch of casual interest only.
Yeah.
I feel like that's obviously very broad, but
so as far as I'm always telling people that if they would feel ashamed telling someone that they're dating again, then they're probably not ready.
okay.
And if and when you are out there, don't be apologetic about it. Get out there, start dating. Some people will say, well, aren't you supposed to wait? It's like, 6 months for every year that you were together or something. I know.
Oh my God.
Antiquated thoughts. But some people feel like, oh my gosh, I need to wait a long time, or it's not right, or it doesn't look right, or what if, or are they going to judge me for being on a date, 9 months post, maybe not divorce, but post disconnection.
Ending.
Yeah. So I think if you're going to be out there, own it. I also think it's important to be ready for the question of, why did y'all divorce? Don't wait until somebody asks you for the first time. Practice it with your friends and family.
Yeah.
And have a little spiel. Make sure that it's rooted in honesty, but you don't need to give all
I was just going to say,
things.
but can you keep it kind of short and sweet?
Yeah, keep it short and sweet. And more than anything, people want to know, and how are you doing now?
Right.
Is your ex going to be a problem? Because 70% of the reasons why people break up is due to exes.
Yeah.
So make sure that that's more important to get worked out rather than starting to date again. Make sure that you're in a place where you can be harmonious with your ex so that it doesn't cause problems going into, and if there are kids involved, or if there are any dependents involved, that you have something sorted out with them as well. Yeah, just be sorted out, I guess.
Be sorted out.
Sorted out.
Get your life together. Just kidding. And then what about the online? It seems like a bunch of casual interest only.
You got to take it offline. You got to take it offline. If somebody's not willing to take it offline, then they're not serious. And women, don't be shocked when you hear that men are dating 7 people concurrently online.
7.
That is the average. And it doesn't mean that they're out there doing anything wrong. They are dating.
They're dating.
That's what dating is.
Yeah.
Most women want to be singularly focused. Like, oh, if I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you. And they expect that the other person is doing that same thing. Well, everybody has different ways of dating, but studies have shown men have several different lines out there. They're fishing, and there's 7 different lines. Doesn't mean that they're doing anything wrong, but just don't assume that you're the only one.
Okay.
And don't be shocked, and kind of
That's
practice that asking, how many women are you talking to online right now? And practice, you're like, okay, all right. Am I a top runner? Am I a front runner?
You know what? I have to say, obviously, I'm not divorced, but that question has been asked to me, and I've been honest, and I guess I'm not the norm because I have dated multiple people.
Did you think you were doing anything wrong?
Absolutely not.
Did anybody make you feel like you were doing
A few.
anything? Okay.
Yeah.
What did they say?
It was one time was on a second date with somebody, and they said, I just want to let you know I deleted the app. And I said, oh, okay.
You're like, for who?
I was like, I was like, oh, I don't want to go too deep into that because I feel like
they're going to turn
around
and so
I was
ask
like,
you.
oh, okay, cool. And they were like, have you been on the app since our date? And I said, since our date last week? Yes, I have.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I deleted the app. I just told you that. And I was like, I totally love that you did that for you. This is our second date.
Yeah. So that's already a red flag. That's a sign of insecurity.
I never want to know.
Now, if somebody is going on a 4th, 5th, 6th date and y'all haven't had that conversation, that's when you say, hey, are you willing to give me 1 month of just dating me?
Ooh, I like that.
Again, let's figure out, is this going to go anywhere or not?
Yeah. If you're really looking for something serious and long-term,
yeah,
let's try it.
Yeah.
After a few,
but you have
4 or
to
5
ask,
dates.
are you willing to do that? Is this month a good, or do you already have some dates lined up, or is there a month where you don't have any and maybe you'd be willing to go?
I love that the way that you're talking about it is very much confidently, they're definitely dating other people. That's good. I think everybody should be
I mean,
prepared for that.
With how many people are trying and struggling on dating apps, yes, you have to assume that other people are dating other people.
Okay. That's good. So 4th, 5th date, depending on obviously your dates go.
Yeah.
It's okay to say if you're really interested in that person, kind of feel the water and see if they're interested in trying exclusive dating.
Yeah. Just date like 1 month of us just going for it and seeing what happens.
Huh. Okay. I like that. Recommendation for a woman who's never come from sexual intercourse, only oral. My new partner is committed to helping me get there. Any tips?
Okay. So it sounds like she has a partner who said she's willing to get her there, but that can also feel like pressure. Less than 20% of women are capable of having orgasms from penetration alone, from intercourse.
Wow.
Okay. That's why vibrators abound.
Yeah.
And so, and oral sex, the fact that she's able to orgasm from oral sex, that is much more likely. So just know she's not alone. And it's very common for that to be the case. Some women will say, but I really want to learn how to. It is possible to learn how to orgasm through intercourse, but it can become problematic. Like the trying.
It's like work. It's like trying to have a baby when you can't for a long time. It's like, relax,
it
enjoy
changes the mood. It changes the goals of it. Just like if you're only seeking orgasm, that also changes the mood, right? It takes away the play of like, let's just see what happens, or let's experience pleasure for the sake of pleasure, and not have it be so goal driven. I know of a lot more women will experience orgasm through penetration by being alone first. So exploring yourself first, using toys. And a lot of that is because there is so much just letting go that needs to happen that I think a lot of women especially are not willing to do with a partner.
Okay.
There's a lot of like just true freedom that needs to happen, and they need to not be self-conscious.
Yeah.
And that can be very difficult, especially when they have a partner who's like trying to make something happen, and you're almost like kind of being tested, I guess, or, you know.
Yeah, and then like if it doesn't happen, you got to be the one that's not working.
Well, and this is why so many women fake it. When I wish that they could just tell their partners, hey, I'm one of the 80% plus women who don't experience orgasm simply through penetrative sex.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a lot of other things to do.
Right.
And that is part of the reason why I think it's so important that we have a repertoire, that we can try different things, that it's not just penis, vagina, sex, or just oral.
Okay.
Like, there has to be a lot of variety, because then you experience lots of different sensations. We're going to be in these bodies, hopefully, a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to experience all the different nooks and crannies.
Okay. Have fun with it.
Have fun with it. Play. Sex is the play for adults.
It's kind of good that you're like, if your partner's willing to or wanting to do that, that's a great quality in that person. But maybe just take the stress out of it. Like, okay, that's something that we both know that we want. I would love for you to make that happen, and I want to make that happen for you, but like, let's see how it goes over time. Like, no pressure kind of thing. Or
more like, let's do what we do and see if it just kind of, if doing more of something.
If it comes.
If it just comes.
Okay. I want to bring up the idea of a threesome. I want to bring the idea of a threesome to my husband of 14 years. It's a fantasy I've always had. What are a couple basic rules to have in place if he's on board to protect our relationship?
Okay. This is such a big deal and such a big topic. So what I would say is 100%, it has to be something that you have planned out, thought about all the what ifs. I would say come and see someone like me and talk about it first, to think about all the things that you haven't thought about. Like, what particular activities will be okay? How long is this going to last? How will we even contact this person? Will we both be on the thread? Is it just going to be me? What would constitute cheating? What if I reach out and you didn't, and I plan this again? Or, like there's so many
Oh my
things.
God, that was just a lot.
Well, and that is literally just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Because for some people don't ever define what a threesome really means. And all of a sudden they're in it and they're like, oh, that's not what I meant. That's not what I wanted. Da, da, da. No,
shit. Okay.
And they don't want to talk about it because it makes it unsexy. Well, before you know it, you're going to lose your relationship because now it's non-consensual. It's cheating. It feels like a betrayal. So I would say if you want to be conscientious about it, talk to a sex therapist about it. We can help you all to figure out, like, is this really something you want? I have sent many a person over to Angela at 444 Boudoir. I have sent couples who will then have the gaze, Gaze, of a third party. And it's almost like...
Oh, it kind of ticks that box.
Yes.
Because maybe start slow then.
Right. Because obviously she's not involved in anything. But it's a very intimate experience that you're having with your partner. And then when you're going back to look over the pictures, you're like, this is what it would be like to see us.
Okay,
this is what it would...
fun.
And so it's a much more, less potential for trouble and difficulty.
Okay.
But there are lots of different things like that. And of course, I would want to know, what about it? Why? Is it only under a certain circumstance? Mm-hmm. Because you'd have to threading that needle is very difficult.
And there's kind of only one chance to do that right.
And it's very unlikely that it will go right. Ugh. Because we're not robots. You can't just, I mean, even if you were, let's just say, hire a sex worker, even that doesn't mean that it's going to go the way that you planned.
Right.
Or that they're even going to do or act the way that you want. It's not like ordering from McDonald's. Even then, sometimes you get onions in your burger. It ruins everything.
I said no pickles.
No, that's messed up.
Do you like pickles?
I like pickles.
I love pickles.
Okay. And that's for social right there. Do you love pickles? I love pickles. That's the YouTube short.
God. That's it. That's it right there. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Those are the questions I had. I actually have a few more, but I want to talk about some misconceptions.
Okay.
These are just kind of things that I've heard around, maybe seen on social media in my past dating as well, and just from my friends. So we might have touched on this the first time, and we've talked about it today, sex toys. Mm-hmm. Some men think that sex toys is a threat to them.
Right. So if we think about it, one of my kind of rules is I try to tell women, don't use a vibrator except for maybe once out of every 4 solo masturbation episodes. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because you want to be able to replicate what you do with your partner. Our bodies can be trained. Just like I'm constantly helping men to retrain their bodies from maybe premature ejaculation or, different things like that. We can train our bodies to only respond to certain things. And if you've ever kind of done a search on common masturbation methods for women, you'll see that there are some very common ones. And they're nothing that their partner can do, including vibration.
Yeah. Can't do it.
Can't do it. Can't do it. So try to do that rarely.
Okay.
Not to say that you shouldn't, but just know you're also that your partner can't do that.
Right.
So use your fingers, use your hands, use toys. Obviously you can't use your own mouth, but try to learn different ways to be able to experience that. Because if you're always using a vibrator, or if you're always using a humongous dildo and your partner's not like that, then you're basically kind of cutting them off at the knees, so to say.
Okay, but what about using sex toys with your partner?
So
how do you, if you want to bring that up, and you know that they feel this way, no, I don't want to use sex toys. What's the way to bring that up?
It's great that you said that, because there's a new, telling you, it's all kind of working out. There's a new product with Bloomy called Caress.
Okay.
And it is a body massager that can also be used all over. And so I would say use a massager that, and this is the other thing that I love about Bloomy toys, truly, is that they don't look like phalluses.
Okay.
Like you could use them anywhere. You could have it out and nobody would be like, oh my gosh, that's a vibe. It's more like a massager.
Okay.
And they're not like intimidating in that way. So if you have a partner who might be intimidated or might think, oh, you're replacing me with your BOB, with your battery operated boyfriend, then that would be the sort of thing where you want to be conscious of that.
Yeah, of course. And it is a sensitive topic. Hopefully I wasn't insensitive when I just brought that up.
Oh, no. I think it's a sensitive topic only because most people just stop it at, well, I don't want to do that. And then that's it.
Yeah.
But once they actually get into it, it's like, well, I don't want to do that because maybe they just don't even know how it works, or they don't want to hurt you. Or the last partner they were with, it was like, kick them out of bed and use their own toy. You know, like you just never know. And most people don't want to talk about those things. So asking them, or maybe even better, showing them, hey, this is what tends to work for me. Especially men, most men are going to be like, this is awesome. You're giving me a glimpse into what works for you. Great. You're like putting the map out for me. Who doesn't like that?
Okay.
But if you ever say the words, well, I don't need you because I have this toy, well, just know that's not gonna fly.
No, that's terrible. Don't say that.
Yeah. Don't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. What about the misconception of men anal play?
Yeah.
Means that they would like men.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that doesn't really equate, right? Like,
yeah.
But there are a lot of men who have been socialized to nothing near my anus because they're homophobic and they don't want to maybe they have internalized homophobia or whatever. But I feel like, again, when you're with your partner and when you're with the right partner, if that's something that you want to bring up as like hey, do you want to try? They might say no, but that's very different than saying no, like I'm not gay.
Right.
That's totally different.
Right.
There are going to be things that maybe you just don't want to do because either you feel like there's no way maybe you don't even know. Maybe you're worried about hygiene. Maybe you're worried about the responses that your body might have. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize that if you're going to explore with any sort of anal penetration, your body needs to prep for that. If you want to have a pleasurable experience, you have to practice for that and work up to that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, oh, well, let's just try it. No, you don't just try it. You might really traumatize someone with it if you just try it. Now, there are lots of people who are like, well, if I do this sort of drug or if I don't even know. That's not pleasure.
No.
That's not even really consent. So I think if you're in a long-term relationship with someone, or if you're in a relationship where you feel like you want to and you feel safe and comfortable with like, well, let's try different things, I feel like that should extend to the bedroom.
Okay. And
anal play, oral play, toys, even just fantasy, all of that I think should be within your treasure chest and your pleasure chest because you're going to be together for a long time and you don't want to get bored.
No,
you don't want to get bored. And what if you find some sort of method that works for y'all? Not that y'all need to talk about it with anybody else, not even with me if you don't want to in sex therapy. But if it works for y'all, great. Just, I think that might be the piece of it that some people are worried about is what if you could tell your girlfriends? What if it gets around to like my brother or, you know, if there are men out there who are worried about, you know, it's going to get back to my friends. Right. The perception, because maybe they're not talking about it.
But so, I think that hopefully if you're with, I don't know, I was going to say, hopefully if you're doing these things, you have a trusted partner. Maybe sometimes it is more casual and that's fine. But hopefully you have a really good base of trust with that person to where you have a conversation that like, hey, anything that happens.
I think that needs to be a conversation.
In the bedroom. I would really like to be left in the bedroom.
Yep. And maybe for people who are thinking, oh my gosh, my partner would never try this or try that, or maybe just consider, is it possible that it's because they feel like it wouldn't stay just between y'all and it wouldn't stay private?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you tell your sister everything,
right?
Well, maybe they're like, well, I can't do that because you'll tell your sister.
Great point.
You never know. So think about it. It could be. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I had. I don't know.
Cool.
Is there a common misconception that like you
misconception
hear a lot or see?
Yeah, I feel like one would be that I think that whole adage, the once a cheater, always a cheater. I don't think that's true.
Okay.
I don't think that's true. I feel like obviously there are couples that are plagued by serial cheating, and partner betrayal is horrific. It really, really is. I see it all the time, and I see the results of it, and it can be incredibly horrific. But I can tell you that 70% of couples that go through it get through it.
Mm-hmm.
And of those, and this is not to say that I would be talking about whoever is out there listening or that it excuses anything, but I can tell you that most of the couples that I've worked with that go through this end up feeling better about their relationship later. Like they get through it and they get stronger.
Okay.
I don't know what happens with anybody else.
Yeah.
But with my couples, I feel like it's something where you can really learn something about going through a dark period. And most of the time you won't do that without real professional help. So
right.
I would say it's not always the case that people cheat again. They might have faced why they did it and worked through it. And there's really no room for that going forward. So yeah, I would say get help if that's the case.
I feel like that used to be, I had somebody on a few weeks ago and we talked about things that we used to believe, and our minds have changed about whether it was from meeting new people or things like that. And I think that is something I used to think, that once a cheater, always a cheater. I think that like you could mark my words. I've probably said that before years ago. And
very common.
Very common. And I just feel like I know of people now that we've had conversations, not people I've dated, but people have said like, yeah, I did cheat on my partner. It was the worst decision of my life and I haven't done it since. And now I've been in this relationship for 11 or 12 years and it just kind of...
And I would never dream of that.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, like, who knows now what that person would be doing? I mean, they still have their life, the rest of their life to live. But I think I've just like, I don't know, like received a little bit of confidence from that. And
well, and I think that a lot of people want to know, like, how do we affair-proof our marriage? First of all, by knowing that your marriage is not affair-proof. I'm always telling people, do not trust yourself or your partner 100%.
Yeah.
Like, just don't. It doesn't make sense.
Right. Like, don't put yourself in situations where
not even that. Just know that you are capable. Know that you are capable of doing that. And so now you have to pull it back even more. You have to set your limitations and your restrictions and your boundaries even more.
Okay.
A lot of people think, well, I'm not going to be one of the, like, 60% of infidelity starts at the workplace. I would never, Just know that's what they thought too.
Yeah.
So I think it may sound, and this is where I start to get to in this place where I'm like, everybody has their own thing going on, but there are certain things that you can do to at least avoid as much as you can that sort of risk and temptation. And one of the things, and y'all can at me all you want, is I don't like, and I think it's always a good idea to avoid having unnecessary opposite sex friends. If you're heterosexual.
I was going to ask you how you felt about that. I felt like that's where you were going.
Yeah. I find that it's usually more problematic than it's worth. Now, of course, you have like cousins and friends, or maybe you have people that you truly see as like a brother but that's not usually the case. And if you're really serious and you really, really are honest with yourself, there might be times where you don't need to have that. Like you don't, and look, you might get something out of that relationship that you're not getting out of your partnership or out of like a close girlfriendship or whatever. but is it worth
Right.
it?
Yeah, I was on a date a while back, and they asked this question, like, do you have a bunch of male friends? Super casually. It was the first date.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I wouldn't say I have a bunch of male friends. I said, I do have a podcast, and I would say I have a lot of male
Like acquaintances.
Colleagues or acquaintances, if you want to call my guests that, or the Men on the Poor Horseman podcast and the engineer from the Nightcap. You know what I mean? I absolutely do communicate with men. I said, but I don't think, and I said someone who used to produce my show, we were together hours and hours of the week. Mm-hmm. He's family to me, and like if you had a problem with that, that would be a problem for me. I'm not out here trying to make new male friends. I'm not out at the bar exchanging my number or social media with a man if I'm dating somebody. I think that's for me, that's where like it would differ. I'm not trying to make new male friends if I'm with somebody.
Well, I think that there are some compromises that we make when we decide to enter into a monogamous relationship in order, like, and maybe for some people it feels like a sacrifice in order to preserve what we have. And so if you go into it knowing we're all capable, then you might be like, and that's why I'm going to take this step.
Yeah.
And look, I'm just saying it may not affair proof your marriage to do that. I mean, you have to like make choices all the time to make sure that you're doing that. But it's just one, I think, a more simple thing that you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a hard time saying men and women can't be just friends, but I don't like it either. But I do see 100% what you're saying, and that is something that, like, how do I say this? I don't know if this is the right thing to say or not, but I wouldn't want to be told this by a man I was dating, but I would just make that change.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm sure not everyone is like that.
So my husband and I, when I first started with a national TV show, and my social media just blew up, we had talks very early on. I was like, hey, do you want to know what's going on in my DMs? Because being older and coming in, I'm an ex-millennial. So I like came into this, like this is new for me, the social media thing. And so I was like, hey, do you want to like just be on and know everything that's happening in my DMs? He's like, no, I do not need to be involved in that. But if there's anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, or if you just don't even know how to handle something, don't respond and let's talk about it.
Okay.
Happened like a handful of times. And he's like, oh yeah, you just delete everybody and you block them. I'm like, I do.
Right.
He's like, okay. But there were some times where I was like, look, this is the sort of thing where it's like, could this be business or could this be you just being weird?
Yeah.
And very quickly we, that's where
we're able to distinguish between.
Yeah. And that's where a team, reach out to whomever. And if they're not willing to do that, then it's not real.
Yeah.
But I wanted to have that openness and honesty because I know that people get propositioned. If you don't have the right filters, you can get all sorts of weird things. But I wanted him to be aware of it just because everybody's talking about it. It's all happening in the DMs, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
And of course now we have a whole handle on it, but it was one of those things where I was like, okay, this is something that we've never had to deal with before, where men have access literally to just send something. Does it mean that I am ever going to see it? No, rarely, but they do have that, whereas nobody was like calling or showing up at the house. And so I just wanted him to be aware of all that.
But that's exactly like you.
And he did help me sometimes. He's like, oh, that means. I'm like, really? Really? He's like, oh, yeah. Because he has some single friends. He's like,
yeah.
I'm like, this isn't just, no, honey, no. So he did help me.
That's really funny. Yeah, no, I like that. And again, like I would feel you're telling me to do that. I feel like that would be my defense mechanism, which you're like,
I know.
But I'm saying I would make that sacrifice and you wouldn't even need to ever worry about that personally, me. Now my business relationships, that's
sure.
Not somebody sliding in my DMs, but like people that I work with and have guests, that's a very different and like serious, get on or get out.
I love to be very progressive, but there are certain things that I'm like, oh, but this works better.
Right. No, but I can see that. Recently someone said like, recently a conversation happened where someone was like, oh, but they're still going out. Like they're still going out at night, clubbing, like that kind of thing. And it's like, I feel like that's a similar situation where it's like, if you're in a relationship now, like man or woman side, You got to dial it back. And like, not that you need to be sitting at home waiting for your man all the time.
I literally have a couple that's going through this right now. And we had to have that talk of like, there's just certain things that strike somebody uneasy. And not that that should be like your North Star with everything, is if they don't like it or it doesn't feel good, but being mindful of like, oh, I need to communicate more then. I need to keep my promise that I'm going to be home at a certain time. And like, it's not saying don't do it, it's do it, but just be more respectful, more honoring of what that might mean.
Thinking of someone else.
Yeah. And then the other thing is that, going out for women is very different than going out for men. And so I particularly, I'll just give you a little tip that I told them. I said, hey, when you go out next time with your hubby and you're going out to like maybe somewhere late and it's turning into a nighttime spot and you know that people are out and they're dating or whatever and they're single, I want you to point out the group that reflects you and your girlfriends when you're out and the group that does not. Because when he goes out with his friends, is maybe just seeing like, and they're all doing this and that and that. And it's like, no, well, we're the women in the corner that nobody's going to come. Or, and she was like, oh, yeah, he has no idea what it's like when I'm out by myself because obviously he's not there. And so all he knows is what he sees other women.
That's a great tip.
And they were like, okay, we're going to try that. So try it.
That's a great tip.
Yeah. Especially because men don't get hit on a ton when they're out, whereas women might.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not maybe like I know when I go out with my girlfriends and my cousins and family, it's like people know very quickly. And we're not rude, but it's like, no, not interested.
Yeah,
okay, like bye, and it's done.
Yeah.
But men may not know that.
Well, I was just out with, there were a total, this is the last stop of our night, but I was the only I was the only single one out of 8 of us. And then a few of us went home and then we went to one more spot afterwards. And so I was still the only single one of, I think 4 or 5 of us were at the second spot. But it was a very different experience hanging with my 4 married friends than my previous experience hanging out with a few of my single friends. We were truly in a corner.
Yeah.
We found, like, it said reserve, but we were like, we'll stay here until we're kicked out.
Reserve for us.
Yeah, but like, I would have been around, taking a lap. But I was just kind of doing what they were doing. And it is true. Like,
it's totally different.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But again, why would your husband know that? Like, why would your partner know that?
Absolutely not. They wouldn't.
I have a little gift for you because it's that time of year. Love month.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I know. Did I say Happy Valentine's Day?
It's just a little something.
Oh!
Yes!
Oh, I'm excited about it.
Yes, you should be. It is a really great silicone that will not pull your hair.
I've never used
you.
Handcuffs at all. These are flexible handcuffs by Bloomy.
By Bloomy. Yes, you can use them alone. You can use them with a partner. And they will not cause any of those issues that you end up on like a sitcom or a movie watching.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
It's so cute. And look, the name is Link. I love that.
Very cute.
I love that.
Wait, I'm excited about this.
Good.
I'm not going to give them away. If that's what you were thinking. Oh, cute. Yeah. I can always add to my, what did you call it earlier? Pleasure chest?
Your pleasure chest.
Oh, I'm excited.
Good.
You can use them
and
on
see
your
how
own.
Cute they are.
They're so
it's
cute.
Not like you're going to be like, worried that somebody's going to stop you in customs or something. TSA. Hello.
I've seen
what's
those
buzzing?
videos.
Well, that's the other thing about what's great about Bloomy products is that they have a lock, a travel lock, so where they're not going to turn on accidentally. And
I have had so I do have a sex toy sponsor of the podcast, and the story I'm telling is not from them. Not that it matters. I'm sure it was just a defect, but it was a different adult toy company, and I did travel, and I did get my bag, and it was vibrating.
Yep.
And
travel lock for the win.
Oh my God. I was like, how do I get out of here? How do I disappear into the ground? Okay, so that's good. That's great to know. But yes, thank you so much. Wait, I didn't prep you for this, but do you have a wine of the week?
Wine of the week?
Like that
I like?
No. A complaint.
A wine. That kind of
a wine of the week.
Where am I? A wine of the week. What happened this week that I just need to
Or just in life, something that's been bugging you.
I have found that I really like if I'm going to work out, it's first thing in the morning, and it's been too cold to leave the bed. It's too cold to leave the house.
I 100% agree with you.
I am like a little like mole person, and I don't. And so yeah, I'm not working out, and I'm really upset about it because I wanted to start the year strong.
I know.
No, not.
Don't get down on yourself though. You just got to start again. Do you go to a gym or do you like run outside?
It just depends. It really just depends. I'm down for all. I love classes. I do like stuff on my phones, but if it's too cold to get out of the bed, what am I supposed to do?
I think you have to sign up for the class ahead of time and
pay for it.
And if you cancel, then there's a fee.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
True.
That's just
that's a good one. That's a good one.
But
I need to look into that. I just it's been hard. So I just start working like 5:30 in the morning because I'm up, but I'm like, it's too cold. I don't want to go outside.
Well, it's February. It's going to be done soon.
Yeah. And then we'll be like, oh my God.
But I do feel you. So I was sick, or no, I was out of town for Christmas and then sick over New Year's, and then I had a surgery, and then it was the freeze, and then it was raining. And
it looks so good, by the way.
Thank you.
Oh my God, it looks so good.
Thank
it's
you.
so you.
Thank you.
You look like you. Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, wow, 4.5 weeks. Like I said, I feel like a slug, and not like my weight, but like I want to be moving and active. So I get it.
I was dragging my little cart. I had like a Valentine's Day photo shoot thing today. I had a ton of clothes, a ton of stuff. And I was like, I am so weak. I could like pull my arm out of my socket just by pulling like it's very quick to just go away. All of the work.
All that hard work.
Goes away,
no, it'll be like riding a bike. You'll get
okay.
right back to it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for coming again.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. And I know that my listeners, my whiners, loved when you came on last time. So
they've got the best questions, and yeah, I'm so happy for you and everything that you're doing out there. And I know it's just going to get bigger and better. More in 2024.
Yes. Rom-com energy in my dating life, but also with myself.
Yeah.
And hustle. So yeah. Where can we find you? Of course, I'll put your information in the show notes.
Yeah, and we have a little special promo code.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh yeah.
Yes.
AWP20.
That's right. AWP20 at drviviana.com will get you 20% off of my audiobook and my ebook for the 4 intimacy styles. Take the quiz. It's free. Just go online and take the quiz.
It's free and it's short. It's like 15 questions.
Yeah.
It took me no time at all.
You need to think about it, but yeah, it's short. Dr. Viviana, spell out Dr. DOCTOR VIVIANA. I'm everywhere there.
Yeah.
I'm about to start a new Pinterest, so you're into that.
Okay.
Check it out.
I just am getting back into Pinterest.
My YouTube channel, I'm finally putting all sorts of tips on there for free. Check it all out. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, then, cheers, and hopefully we'll do this again.
Oh, yeah.
Love you, Whiners. See you next Thursday. Bye.